So guys, part number 8 of my Viper build. So last week we did the finishing touches and finished the aircraft. So this week we're going to do a simple base. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do a simple base using this guy. And we're going to do a final reveal. So hopefully you stayed along 8 weeks. If so, I certainly appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get this bad boy wrapped up and we'll get out of here. So come on, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, awesome, let's get going. So I don't normally build bases. I should, because I think it makes a huge difference to displaying the models. So went to Hobby Lobby and got myself a round, I think this is 9 inches. Yep, 9-inch round, $2.99. Now, Hobby Lobby, you frustrate me. My whole life, you could go in there and get any item 40% off. They got rid of that coupon now, so you no longer get 40% off, which is, kills me. So I looked at I need this and some foam board. The foam board was $6.99, so they priced all that stuff up for the 40% increase, because obviously they factored everybody uses 40% coupons. And it's just crazy expensive now, so I don't know what the hell they're playing at. But anyway, so that's my little Hobby Lobby round's over with. So I bought this at Hobby Lobby. I wasn't going to spend $7 on a foam board, so I drove down the street to Dollar Tree, and I picked up this big sheet of foam board for $1, obviously. It's kind of hard to show. It's so big, it's hard to show, but that's how thick it is. I'd say it's probably about 5 mil thick. So the game plan with this one is we're going to create kind of a concrete, I'm thinking maybe like Afghanistan kind of operating base kind of deal. So we're going to do a concrete kind of pad with a helicopter on, and then off the side here we're going to do some kind of dry, kind of arid kind of ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out, this foam board, to create raised area. And then what I'll do then is I'll smear this stuff on, which I have already used up, this AK terrain stuff. I've used this before in my videos. I really like it. To be honest, it smells like tar grout. So the thing is too, is they really you can't undo them, they stick on. So the key with this is to get a screwdriver in and lift it up, and it flips up. You can't unscrew it once they stick. It's just, again, it just smells like tar grout. So I have no idea what it is, but I've done the asphalt before and it's really good. I don't think I've used concrete though, so we'll give this one a shot. So I'll do the concrete pad in this, and then we use light earth for the little area offside, and then once that's all set, we can paint airbrush on some lines and some use some oils for some weathering, that kind of stuff. So it's going to really set the aircraft off, I think, this helicopter. So it's going to kind of hang off a little bit. So the main kind of body of the helicopter will be in the middle, and then the tail is kind of be off the side. But that's kind of, I think it'll work okay. So that's the game plan. So kind of talk you through it. So first thing I need to do is I need to sand this down, because it's very rough wood. You can see it's all like splintery and stuff. So I just need to sand down the edges on this, and then we need to cut this foam board as well. Obviously it's way too big to fit on my camera. It's a big sheet of like A1 or something. It's probably about 2 by 4 foot, but like I say, from dollar store. So I'm going to cut this down. Once I've cut this, I'll just mark it up and then cut it with some scissors. We'll come back and we'll kind of talk about the next step. Okay, so you see I sanded the base down, actually used a sanding stick for plastic, which works great on wood also, a coarse sanding stick, just ran around the edges, sand it down, and then that big sheet of foam board actually went from a kitchen. I found I had a plate, courtesy of IKEA, which actually fits almost perfectly on top here. So I laid that down on my foam board, drew around it, and then cut it out with a pair of scissors to get me this shape. And then I just went and kind of messed up the edge a little bit, because it's not going to be a perfectly straight edge. It's going to be, a little bit worn away and stuff, the way I'm going to do it. So I put it here like that. You can see the idea, bring the helicopter in. The helicopter's going to be on like this, and then you got the dirt kind of next to it. So next up is obviously to glue this to the base. So I'm just going to use any PVA glue. I got some Mod Podge at hand, so I'm just going to put some Mod Podge on here. Ooh. Be pretty generous, so I don't want this thing peeling off. Oh, maybe too generous. Kind of smear this with a toothpick. It's just an ooze everywhere. Okay, now we're just going to center it. Like so. This is going to stick real good. Just make sure we're kind of centered. Okay, we're looking good. Okay, so I'm going to put something heavy on that to hold it down. Seeing what I got around here. Maybe some bottles of PA. And we're in good shape. So I'm going to let that just dry for like an hour. Then we're going to come back and we're going to paint the outside of the base first. Okay, so I glued it down and I also primed it. As you can see, it's a grey colour. Primed it really because I didn't want the wood to soak up all the paint. So I just used, you can use anything like craft. I don't want to use expensive modelling stuff. So I found some automotive primer, sandable. This is Duplicolor grey. It's actually really good for kits too. You do white, grey, I think do black. You get from your automotive store. But this is very fine. It's actually really good for like car bodies, you know, 1/25th scale, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I had this lying around, so I thought rather than wasting my Mr. Surfacer or whatever primers, just shoot it with that one. So I shot it down, dried pretty almost instantly, to be honest with you, and now we're ready to paint. So what I'm going to do is I want to make this kind of pop the base a little bit. Normally when I do bases, I do like normally stain it like a dark wood color or do like a copper or something. This time I want to kind of make it really kind of bright because we can have a kind of sandy, dusky base in the middle, and the aircraft is very grey and drab, so I want to kind of add some colour to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back XF8, just straight flat blue from Tamiya. So I'm just going to literally just throw it in the airbrush, mix it with some X28 thinner, about 50/50, and just spray it on. And hopefully with the primer we added, it's going to, you know, it's going to take colour pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that, and then once that's dry, we'll come back and talk about the next step. Okay, so painted it blue earlier this afternoon, loosely masked it off, and we'll have the top area. So first of all, we're going to apply the concrete. Now, this is going to go horribly wrong. You're supposed to use a spatula or a popsicle stick or something like that. Works really good. I don't have it either. I can't find it either. So I found a old plastic, well, a new plastic cutlery, plastic knife. So who knows if this is going to work. We'll give it a shot and see to spread it. I think in the back of it, maybe that should be able to spread. Or maybe like this, maybe to spread evenly. So this is actually brand new. I don't actually use this, so I just opened it. As I mentioned earlier, once these things get, once you've used them, this thing like sticks and you can't open it no matter how you turn it. You have to put a screwdriver in, just flip it up. And that's the way to do it. But you can see there, if you have smell-o-vision, you'll know it smells just like towel grout is what it smells like, to be honest with you. But it does have a really good effect. So I put it in this box so we don't make a mess. It's in the lid of the kit box. Just seeing what's in the lid here. It's kind of weird, sandy, grouty kind of texture. So what I'm going to do is, make these a little bit of stir. I'm just going to smear it on. Okay, it's not sticking well at all to this, which is bad news, but let's go on anyway. It's like, I guess it's like icing a cake. Okay, so I added a little bit of water, just a few drops, and it really makes it easier to work with a little water. So I took a bit of scrap wood here I had, with a straight edge, and just kind of smoothed this out a little bit, and you can see it's looking pretty good now. done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let this dry overnight. It looks crap right now, but I think it's going to dry nicely, and hopefully it looks like concrete. So fingers crossed. Again, there's little imperfections and stuff in there, but that's how concrete is in real life. I haven't used this one before. I used the asphalt one before, and that was actually pretty good on some cork. But yeah, I think we're going to be okay. So we won't know until the morning, so again, just tidy up the edges a little bit here. But yeah, let me... sorry, it's fixing the corner. Cool, that's it. So let me leave that dry overnight. We'll come back tomorrow, we'll see how it looks, and then we need to do this little bit of dry earth patch right here. Okay, so it's the following day. Let this guy dry, so see it's on the concrete, and also coming back with the light earth too on this little area right here, so you can see a lot of tonal differences. So that now looks very kind of plain. So we'll add a few washes, kind of get this going a little bit. So I'm using my 502 oils to make some washes up. I've got, let's go through it. It's got sepia. So I'm just going to put a little bit in the palette here and make the wash up. Okay, cool. Engine grease. This is going to be for the concrete area. And earth. That's on tightly. Okay. Oh, too much on that. Okay. Just going to take some enamel thinners. This is X20 enamel with a blue top. And what we're going to do is we're just going to mix it up and make a little wash. Then I'm just going to use the earth on the this bit right here, which is obviously the earth side. Okay, next up we're going to mix up the sepia. I'm going to put some of this on the concrete too. Around the marks and stains and stuff. It just really absorbs well into this like tile grout stuff or whatever AK you're using. And engine grease. Okay. So I think that's good. Maybe a little bit more of this color. You can also make colors too, just mix them up. Or you're just dabbing it and it just absorbs into the base. Okay, so I think that's good for now. What I'm going to do is let this dry off a little bit, and I'm just going to airbrush on some grime, Glory wash, kind of water it down about 50-50 with tap water, With my old airbrush, my cheap Chinese one, not my nice one, I'm just going to airbrush slightly some grime kind of over this concrete area as well. Right, so all done. Sprayed a little grime here and there around the edges, not that you can really see it too much on the camera. Painted a white line on the side of the concrete pad too. I'm just simple mastered up and sprayed it. Didn't like hose it on, just kind of mist it on, so you know it looks a little faded and stuff. In hindsight, I probably should have done that before I did all the weathering, so you can weather it in. But yeah, it's fine. So we're done. So all we've got left to do is add the aircraft. So I'm just going to use some Mod Podge, which is white PVA glue. Any kind of PVA glue I think works for putting models on bases. It just means you can pull it off in the future if you ever want to. So I'm just going to kind of smear a healthy dose of this on the bottom of this, the skis here, or whatever you call them on a helicopter. And we're going to place it this direction. Just kind of line this thing up how I want it, kind of. Let's do it here. And that is it. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit. The point with that is really just to kind of just tack it down so it doesn't move around the base rather than anything when you move it. A lot of things on this one, kind of like little rotor blades and all kinds of stuff sticking out. So it's nice to kind of have a base you can hold it so you can move it around if you need to. So looking really good. I'm just going to head now and let this dry off, and then we'll come right back and we'll talk about the project and do a final review. We're done. Another build in the books. So here she is. I'll put up some videos and photographs while I talk so you can see a little bit closer up. But yeah, what a nice build it was. It was really nice. It wasn't as nice as people made out. When I saw reviews and people building this, it says perfect, that kind of stuff. It isn't. There's tons of rejection pin marks. I think in the cockpit alone there was probably about 12 just in this one part to take care of. Nothing major. The fit, like I did a 10 on, and down here there weren't really many attachment points, so it was a little kind of tricky to get it all together. But yeah, it went together really well. Some lack of detail. Well, I'll take a step back. This isn't a very expensive kit. Kits nowadays, the pricing compared to this one, this is actually pretty well priced. So you probably need to spend a little extra on some aftermarket to kind of get it up to speed. So the kit was lacking some detail. Namely, you got all this glass on the cockpit area here, and there's no seat belts. There's no decals, no PE, nothing. So just blank seats. So you have two options. So you got Edward seat belts, which I did, or you get the resin figures, which I liked, but they were super expensive. They're like the same price as the helicopter kit, pretty much. So went with seat belts, aftermarket. The turret down here, the TSS turret, there's already no detail down there. It's just a plain plastic part in the kit. The Flying 11X is about $7, I think it is. It's a good, worthy investment. Way more detail, and that little holographic kind of lens as well, which is pretty cool. I did the avionics bays on both sides. It is a pretty straight, as far as resin goes, it was a pretty straightforward thing to do. Not necessarily essential. I did add some detail. I don't think that's really necessary so much. If you close it up, it's gonna make it a lot easier with your decals and stuff. What else? Oh, finally, I think I added, so 4 things, right? So I added the turret, the avionics bays, the seat belts, and the wing fold set. And that is, for me, a must, because if you extend these, I've glued them in place now, but if you extend these rotors out, you're looking at a pretty big kind of square footprint to display this thing. So having it folded like this definitely kind of makes it a little bit kind of easier to display and put on a shelf. You know, it's very kind of long and narrow, so I think it's definitely worth getting the wing fold set. Again, that was about $12, I think. They're not very expensive. These are for this kit, for aftermarket stuff. So yeah, so I added those. It looks really good. Happy how it turned out. Some minor surgery required, but nothing too major. Again, in my back in part 1, or so I can't remember, part 3 maybe it was. I did check back. I did a whole wing fold video how I did this. But yeah, I think it's worthwhile. So one thing that kind of helped with this build too is because I had that month delay for the part, I couldn't put the main fuselage together, so I went to town with all like the weapons and the rotor blades. So I did all that stuff. So at the very end, when you're kind of losing your mojo a little bit, it was all ready to go. So it just kind of slotting in place, the sub-assemblies, and it was finished. The winglets here, I did a video a couple of months back on weathering, 10 steps. So I went through the whole thing and did those on a separate video. But really kind of went to town again, weathering those up and kind of creating it.
But yeah, I kind of got look I wanted. Finally I presented it on the base. Simple Hobby Lobby 250 or 299 base. Just painted it blue. I'm kind of glad I did blue. It adds like a nice little bit kind of pop of color. Let me hold it a little closer to see this guy. So the blue, and then I just used some AK foam board and some concrete, which is okay. I think the asphalt's a lot better than the concrete look, and some dry earth and just a few little oils and stuff to kind of add it, paint the stripe down, and we're good to go. Just stuck it down with some PVA glue. It's not super strong, just kind of holds it just from falling off basically. But yeah, I'm kind of really happy how this guy turned out. So I'm holding up the camera here, you can see it better. I think this first ever kit I've done with avionics bays. That's some amber bay on that side, but I'm really kind of happy how it turned out. Yeah, it's a cool kit. First ever helicopter too, so my first ever helicopter. I'll be definitely doing some more. It's nice, you don't have to do any kind of landing gear and wheels and stuff compared to aircraft. But yeah, there she is. So recommend this kit, definitely. If you want to bring it up a little bit, like I mentioned, those aftermarket parts, I think almost a must. Not very expensive at all, and with the price of the kit being low, you get a pretty decent model. But yeah, one thing I found curious was in the instructions, you have two instructions books. You have an assembly book, and then you have a book called painting markings and stencil data. And in that book, they throw in the where they put PE. They didn't put it in the instructions. So if you watch my build series, you know that I went ahead and built thing, painted it, decaled it, and everything. And then I realized in that book, I had this big thread of photo etch. So I had to then go back and carefully put in all the photo etch grills around all the whole aircraft, and then paint those in again. So don't forget about the photo etch. It's in the second instruction book. I don't know why they call it out in the main assembly instructions, but ideally you want to do that photo etch obviously before you start painting and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. It's been 8 parts on this one. It's been quite long, but again, we've tackled some aftermarket stuff. So not only are you interested in the Viper, but if you're interested in putting avionics bays or doing wing folds, that kind of stuff, I've tried to separate the videos into separate chunks, so you can just watch those videos if you want. But yeah, thanks always for watching. I'm going to finish up with some photographs I took outside in daylight. I think I took about 8 or 9 photographs, so you kind of see a little bit better and closer up. So let me throw those photos up, and hope you enjoyed this one. And if so, I'll see you next week for the next one. So thanks. Goodbye.